Let's wait to see who joins. 1 a.m. live stream. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for hanging out, and please let me know what your thoughts are on Freemasonry. Again, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear it. Here we go. Hello, Travis the Pirate. How's it going? How is it? How is the pirate life? And let me know how you're doing. I don't know if you watched the State of the Union address. There was actually, Mason's got a bit of a moment. There was a image of one gentleman wearing a Masonic pin. I thought that was really cool. So I don't know much about him. Let me see if I can find a Masonic pin in State of the Union. I didn't get a chance to watch the State of the Union. I was at a Masonic meeting. However, oh, sorry. So there was the George Washington's gavel was displayed during the State of the Union. It's maintained by Potomac Lodge Number 5, a Masonic lodge in Washington, D.C. I also understand there was at least one person who was referenced. Buddy Taggart, World War II veteran. So there you go. Not much, just hanging out, waiting to see who wants to join. So a couple interesting Masonic connections with the State of the Union. George Washington's gavel, maintained by Potomac Lodge Number 5, Masonic Lodge in Washington, D.C., and a Masonic pin, I guess, on World War II veteran Buddy Taggart. So that's cool. All right, in the meantime, let's wait to see who joins. These 1 a.m. streams, I don't have any specific topics. Just hang out, chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. And don't forget to join me tomorrow, 10 a.m. I'll be doing I guess it'd be almost, 21 of the Push for Better Challenge. Okay, my grandfather, actually both my grandfathers were Masons, so very cool. As is my father, I should say. Do you know to what lodge your grandfather was a member? We're basically going to give it a bit of time. We're going to wait to see who joins. And again, any thoughts on Freemasonry? Positive. Actually, that should be my poll question. Hello, Joshua. Did you notice a possible Masonic pin on Buddy Taggart? Hold on just 1 second. Where? Which where's Lodge 557 located? Hello, Joshua. Thank you for joining. To anybody who's just joining us, please consider taking a moment, hitting the like button and the subscribe button, and doing a super chat, just 99 cents. It is 1:08 for me as well, because I am also in Ontario. So we got a couple of Ontario guys here. So it's 1:08 a.m. for me as well, not just for you. So there you go. Also, the famous gavel, again, used by George Washington at the Masonic Cornerstones ceremony for the New Year's Capitol building, will be displayed on the Speaker's podium in the House of Representatives during tonight's joint session of Congress for President Trump's State of the Union address. That's from a Freemason for Dummies blog post. Okay, Tennessee, very cool. I've been lucky enough to visit Masonic lodges in Tennessee. Beautiful state, beautiful cities, beautiful Masonic lodges. Actually, there's a song called Home in a Hometown by Matt Stell, which takes place in Gladesville, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville, and it features a Masonic building. Kind of a cool little note. Well, thank you for liking, Ty Croc. I appreciate that. Well, Nam, first of all, I'm very sorry that your anxiety is messing your sleep up. Maybe you need to speak to a professional, a doctor, whatever it might be about, treatment options. But in terms of breathing exercises, my favorite type of breathing exercise has always been box breathing, it's called. It's you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, and you hold for 4 seconds. Right? So breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, drop for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds. Don't get your medical advice from YouTubers. Name. You're right. Well, if I feel off, then so be it, but please hit like and subscribe. How about that? And Mark, welcome back. Thank you for being here. Were you doing the push-ups with me? That's the question. Well, I would say neither. I'm not a Christian or a Roman Catholic per se. I believe in a supreme being, but I'm not one who necessarily believes in a particular religion. So, for whatever it's worth. Oh, yes, because you're in a time change, right? So it's what, 7 a.m. for you? So, what are your usual morning workouts for you, Mark Mastiff? What do you do? Funk Congress? I mean, I know a little bit about the Knights of Columbus, not nearly as much as I'd like to, but I mean, they're a civic organization, they're a civic group. One of the main differences is they are religiously based, whereas Freemasonry is not. But I have no issue with them. Certainly, I've known a couple knights who are also Masons. Nice. How long do you take Lily out for? Are they shady? I mean, I'm sure that there are some individual Knights of Columbus who are shady, just like there's some individual Masons who are shady. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings and nobody's perfect. But as an organization, I've never seen any indications that they are shady or negative. So I don't think so. I mean, they seem like any other civic organization. I mean, I can't make any promises, but I've known Knights of Columbus. They always seem like good dudes to me. It seems like a legit organization. Um, Again, it's a civic group, and I think the extent to which civic groups exist within society, um, society is made better, whether it be Masons, Knights of Columbus, Elks, Moose, Rotary, or anything else. I have no legs, so as we were talking about, we both have our disabilities. I used to have artificial legs, but I also found them kind of um, sometimes uncomfortable. I grew to prefer the wheelchair quite a bit. So, I've never heard any examples of Knights of Columbus having a shady reputation, so I can't speak to that myself. We're just going to hang out, wait to see who else wants to join, who else wants to chat. No worries. I hope you'll consider hitting the like button, the subscribe button, and consider doing a super chat. Just 99 cents helps out big time, right? So consider just a 99-cent super chat. Helps other people find the channel. Well, fair enough, CBA, with your no, but it's still good to have you here nonetheless. This is just basically an Ask Us Anything stream, so I don't have any specific topics planned. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk more about the State of the Union at 1 p.m., but for today, it's just hang out and chat. I keep being told that, but I'm not familiar with the Hermetic Order, so I can't speak to it. It never came up in any of my Masonic meetings, Vin Diesel. I don't think you're the real Vin Diesel. They go to Square Uncovers Promotions and help me produce more content promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as discussing stories of Masonic interest. It's to my business, basically. All right, that question gets an automatic hide user. Oh, I can imagine. I mean, I was born missing my legs, Mark Mastiff, and I do think it's very different when you are, I mean, both face their challenges. I don't want to imply that there aren't challenges to being born missing your limbs, but when you lose your limbs in an accident, you're dealing with the post-traumatic stress of the accident and the medical complications that come with losing a limb, the medical complications as it relates to not you, the other person, Holden. Yours was a legitimate question, and that's perfectly fine. I meant the Holden question, not yours. Yours is perfectly fine. But no, it's challenging, right? Because you have the trauma of the accident, the medical complications that go along with an amputation, the pain, the recovery, and then having to relearn everything, including like how you balance. Well, Stretch, I'm very sorry that you had a not great day. I guess what I'd say is I hope you start to feel better. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. That won't make your day better, but it'll make my day better for whatever it's worth. As for you, I hope that you maybe feel better and hang out, and let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. You cannot donate me prosthetic legs. You can give me a super chat of 99 cents, $1. It's a small amount, but it helps create interactions with the stream, which is engagement is the term for it. So to my knowledge, there's not. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I've never experienced phantom pain. I was born missing my legs, and I've never experienced phantom pain for whatever it's worth. So I think it's different depending on. I know for a fact phantom pain does exist in amputations that come later on in life, but if you're born missing your legs, it's not the case. And I can't relate to it because I have no idea what it's like, other than I've known people who've had it and they say it's just a miserable experience. I'm sure, like everything else, you're better able, as things go on. Um, you're able to learn how to deal with it and manage it, but I'm sure it still sucks. So I'm sure it still sucks. But it still is great to have you here, Mark, and thank you for finding me. I hope you enjoy your morning exercises, and I hope today at 10 a.m. Eastern, I don't know what time that would be for you, probably like 2, 3 in the afternoon, you'll do some push-ups with me. What I always advise is do what your doctors tell you, but make sure you also talk to your doctors, express your concerns, and let them know why it is you don't want to take the tablets or the medication. But for the time being, we're hanging out, waiting to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. Mostly, I'm just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. I don't have any specific topics today. Rather, I'm just waiting to chat with whomever. Any questions or comments, even if it's, let's say, not about Freemasonry, why not? Tomorrow, I'm going to talk more about the State of the Union address. And again, a couple of interesting Masonic connections. So, enjoy the outside, Mark. Enjoy the outside, and hopefully I'll see you soon. See you in about, 8 hours or so? 8 or 9 hours. By the way, I had a really great, excellent, and very fun meeting tonight with Rose Qua, Scottish Rite. So that was really great. Great food, pulled pork, delicious as always. There you go. See me in 8 hours. And by the way, Mark, you have a YouTube channel as well, right? I hope everybody will take a few moments to check out Mark's YouTube channel and subscribe. I think it's about his dog, the Bull Mastiff. Dinah Bolts, what is yucky? I don't know what is yucky? Well, I mean, I love pork. I can't speak for God. I'm definitely not the best person to speak on what God loves or doesn't love. I can say I'm a big fan of pork. So there you go. That's a weird thing to get mad about, Dinah Bolts. I mean, why would he make it so delicious then? It depends, Vin Diesel. I mean, ultimately, the purpose behind a Masonic meeting is ultimately the same as the purpose of a um, baseball game, which is not to win or lose, rather, it's the continuation of the game, right? The reason why baseball exists, the reason why anything exists, is for the continuation of that thing. For example, if you were to tell a baseball team, if you win the next game, baseball will cease to exist and you'll never be able to play it again, they'd probably throw the game because it's more important that the game continues than that they win a particular game. But anyways, Freemasonry, we meet with the purpose of maintaining the order. So that can be an administrative meeting, which is all of the administrative tasks that go into maintaining a lodge, reading of minutes, correspondence, sick and visitation, charitable work, education about Freemasonry, refreshment, dinner, drinking, enjoying one another's company. When I say drinks, it could be anything from non-alcoholic and soda pop to it could be alcohol if it's allowed in your jurisdiction. And then there's also ritual meetings where we're bringing in new candidates. But ultimately, it's on the basis and on the understanding that we enjoy each other's company, and that's worth finding a reason to spend time. The desire for company and socialization came first, and then we structured everything around that. I'm not a Knight of Columbus, Bull. I'm a Freemason. But Bull, please hit like and subscribe. What are my thoughts on colonialism? I mean, it's very complicated. I live in Canada. I can't pretend like colonialism is not a major part of Canada and did not result in the creation of this country and a country that I love and consider to be the greatest country in the world. But I also recognize that colonialism brought with it a lot of death, harm, destruction to a people and a culture. I wish it never happened. I wish that those things never happened. So it's a squishy answer because they don't have a good one. I think it's possible to both love and be grateful for the country that you have, and also recognize the significant harms done through colonialism. And how you square that circle, I suppose everybody has to decide for themselves. I do sometimes um, bowl. Um, I've been playing Assassin's Creed a lot lately, and I really enjoy Dead Space. It's probably my favorite video game. Dead Space 2. Um, there are no rules of pot use other than whatever the rules are that already exist in your jurisdiction. So there is that. So if you live in a country where it's legal, then I suppose it would be legal. You probably are not able to smoke indoors anywhere, but that would be for weed or tobacco. I've never done it myself. I'm pretty boring, other than caffeine, which is probably my major vice. Um, I drink way too much caffeine. Um, Bowl, I think you're new to the stream. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. I would hope so. I would not join an organization if cannibalism was supported. I don't even know what the term is. No, cannibalism is frowned upon in Freemasonry, as it should be. I feel like cannibalism should be frowned upon everywhere. I would be concerned if someone said they don't frown upon Freemasonry. I would find that very disconcerting. I don't think Assassin's Creed is a true story. I'm nearly positive it's not, but I mean, I'm not an expert, I suppose. It seems highly dubious, though, that it would be a quote unquote true story. I'm not sure what that means, Dinah. Like, who's controlling what sides? I mean, I've never been a believer that anybody controls the world. I think that's kind of silly for whatever it's worth. Um, oh, so I'm not a believer in any of that stuff. Very sorry to disappoint you, Dinah. But I think your philosophy sounds highly questionable. Having said that, I mean, I still hope you hit the like and subscribe button. But it sounds quite suspicious to me. Well, I think we live in this world. I don't know if we're stuck in the world, but we live within it. So that's a huge issue, Dinah. If you say, I know I'm right, I would find that to be a very concerning statement from anybody. No one can know if they're correct or incorrect. You need to keep that in mind and recognize that and understand that, right? That's not something anybody can know. You can have guesses and estimates, but even me, I always try to say there's a lot of things I believe I know. I have my information. However, you can't know anything 100%. Prikovsky, I don't disagree with you, Prikovsky. Prikovsky, I think you're new to the stream. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I'd really, really appreciate it. And I hope that you're doing well. So Vin Diesel, I'm not sure to what you're talking about. Now, pillars are important within Freemasonry, obviously. However, it's not to say that Freemasonry is the, I'm trying to think what the word is. Like pillars are the most important thing in Freemasonry. I'm not sure what the center pillar is also. Um, know nothing is worthless, and certainly I definitely don't think philosophy is worthless. I would not be a big fan of that as an idea, right? I think philosophy has a lot of great value. I think from a Masonic perspective, we're always taught to be continually learning and learning more about the world around us. And that includes, philosophy. So yeah, no, I would disagree with that 100%. Let me know what your favorite type of philosophy is. For me personally, my favorite philosophy is, is ultimately probably Enlightenment era philosophy more so than anything else. I'm a big fan of like Voltaire, Diderot, Condorcet, um, Ben Franklin, if you will. Ben Franklin, if you will. I like deism. Could you describe deism more, Bama Yard Dog? Um, what is deism? Um, what are your so I mean, I also enjoy Aristotle. I think he's really cool. Well, Ken Taya, first of all, if anybody is uh, I don't even know. If anybody is stealing from you or ripping you off, you should contact the police and contact legal counsel. I'm not sure why people are hypnotizing you, but if you think that they're trying to take advantage of you, same thing. You should contact the police or the authorities ASAP. That's a great quote, Bolsack, and I would agree with that actually. I think wonder is the beginning of wisdom. I think wonder is also just the beginning of like a better life. I've studied this before, and I've always said I think a level of curiosity and a willingness to always be asking questions. I actually think that absolutely 100% um, can result in, I'm trying to think what the word is, can result in a better Masonic career. If I was, let's say, tracing for or exploring the possibility of what makes a good Mason, what makes a successful Mason long term, I would genuinely suggest more often than not, it would be curiosity and consistent curiosity over time. If you ever feel like you've learned everything there is to know about Freemasonry, you're probably not going to last that long because why stick around, right? At least that's been my experience. Um, Hello, Minotaurs. Feel like it's been a while. Good to see you again. To everybody watching this, by the way, I hope you'll take a moment. Please consider doing a super chat. Just 99 cents would help out big time and would be greatly appreciated. So Freemasons are not traitors. Let's not ban Freemasonry, please, and thank you. But Spartacist Freedomist, it's still good to have you here nonetheless, despite the fact that you're crazy. Dinah, I think you might need to talk to somebody professional, maybe even a spiritual advisor, because I'm not quite sure I understand what your spiritual ideas are or what exactly they mean. So I don't think I can help you out very much, but I'm not quite sure I get it. But I still appreciate you being here nonetheless. We're going to give it a bit more time. We're going to wait to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button if you're new to the stream. I'll be back on tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'm going to share my thoughts of the State of the Union, particularly at least the Masonic connections I saw with the State of the Union. Yes, Moonlight Cam. There's a couple. There was the George Washington gavel displayed in front of the vice president, I believe. And there was a potential Masonic pin spotted on a World War II veteran. I think Kant is interesting. If I had to describe my philosophical ideology, it would actually be utilitarianism, which I don't know what the best example of a utilitarian philosopher would be, but well, I don't think you're making it up, Kentaya, but I do think you maybe need to talk to somebody who can give you a bit more help than what you're going to get here. I'm not sure what an ADD sun is, Crystal, but okay. What is a cosmic nihilist? I know what nihilism is. What is a cosmic nihilist? I've never heard of that before. Okay. I mean, it can be a struggle to have ADD. It's not something I know very much about, but I hope that he's getting the help that he needs. Slack-jawed Yorkle. We are all going to die. In fact, Freemasonry reminds us of that fact, but it does so to maybe encourage us to do our best to focus on what we can do here on Earth while we're alive before we die. Since we know we're going to go sooner or later, why not enjoy the time we have here on Earth? Not just enjoy it, but be grateful for it and use it to try and help others around us. It seems like one of those things where being reminded of immortality is actually a very positive thing. The Ernest Becker Institute talks about this a lot. Okay, so almost an absurdist, Bullsack. I'm not sure what that means, Crystal. I mean, it's definitely possible to see and hear a lot of bad things in life, but there's also a lot of good things in life. And I think hopefully what we can try to do is turn our minds to the good, which is not always easy, but because we can be inundated with quote unquote the bad, but I think it's worth trying. I'm not ignoring you exactly, Dinah, but I don't understand what you're saying at all, so I really can't respond to it in any meaningful way, other than, again, to suggest maybe you seek out some professional help. Um, well, if he's schizophrenic, then I definitely hope he's getting some help and assistance. There's no shame in having mental illnesses, nor in having, a family member who has a mental illness. I hope he's getting help. I'm sure it's incredibly challenging for you, and I'm sorry you're going through that. Whether your son has a mental illness or a physical illness, it's not an easy thing to go through, I'm sure. Um, well, Rabbi Isaac Wise is full of baloney. I've looked him up a little bit because he's popped up a couple times on the stream. Let's just say I'm personally am not a fan of him. I don't see a lot of value in his stuff. I mean, and there is just so much you can do, Crystal, and I understand that. I'm not saying that you can solve the problem. I'm just saying I'm sure it's incredibly challenging, and I'm sure you're doing your best. And I hope maybe you keep on encouraging him to see doctors and talk to doctors, and you go from there. But also, if he's an adult, then he has to make his own decisions as well. You can just do your best to encourage him to make the best choices for himself and provide information about resources and doctors and professionals and support groups and all that good jazz and all that things that you can do. I don't think morals require a God per se. I do believe in a supreme being. I certainly don't think ethics require a God, right? There's a difference between ethics and morality. I think it's possible to derive a morality based on the way I describe it is based on the circumstances within any given. It's possible to derive morality based on the circumstances within any given situation with respect to and considering our biological functions and psychological understandings. I know that kind of sounds like gobbledygook, but I think it's possible in any given situation without appealing to a supreme being to recognize there is a moral or a good outcome based on, if nothing else, the utilitarian understanding that I am a human, the person across from me is a human. What is good for me will be good for them, and what is good for them will be good for me. There's a recognition that it will not do any of us any good to harm the other from a human, civilizational, human continuance perspective. Um, well, ancient Egyptians practiced stone masonry, Dinah. Freemasonry, despite what, some argue when it comes to, for example, a symbolism, Freemasonry, speculative masonry, came along much, much later than ancient Egypt. Morality is not subjective, but morality is relative. Those are different understandings, right? In the same way, time is not subjective, but time is relative. I think morality is the same thing. This is my own opinion. I'm speaking for myself. This is not a Masonic philosophy. Freemasons, when it comes to what is good and, the nature of that, that's more of a question that is left to more the personal or spiritual side. Freemasonry does provide ethical frameworks from which people can live better lives, but there's a difference between ethics and morals, right? Good evening, KY Pitbull. Thank you for being here. Well, that is, again, more apocryphal than real, Dinah Bolts, but there is some truth to what you're saying. It's just very, very limited and more apocryphal than legitimate, again. Never heard of walking on planks, so I'm not sure to what that is referring. It's a little bit of truth, but surrounded by a lot of legend and apocrypha. So you need to be careful with that stuff, which is almost always the case, right? There's always a little bit of truth and then a lot of legend mixed in. Well, the army, who knows? Maybe they're involved in some secret stuff. I think the army might have classified missions. I'm not sure. The Masons, I mean, they can, I guess, keep it as secret as they want. There's no rule that says they have to talk about it, but it's something I really enjoy talking about myself for whatever it's worth. So, well, the Egyptians were master stonemasons. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. Just consider the pyramids, right? And how well they did at building the pyramids. I mean, if that's not an example of master stonemasonry, I don't know what is. Well, good for B'nai B'rith. B'nai B'rith is not Masonic. B'nai B'rith was started during a time when Freemasonry was anti-Semitic and was pushing Jewish persons away from joining, and that's an unfortunate thing. So they started B'nai B'rith as I don't know what the term would be, as a push against that, or for their own fraternal group or their own fraternal organization. Which I think is a good thing in some ways. I appreciate that, KY. I appreciate that very much. I don't think aliens built the pyramids. I don't believe that. I am a believer, good sir, that Freemasonry, that the pyramids were built by men, by stonemasons. In some cases, they were slaves. In other cases, they were professional masons. We're going to give it a bit of time. We're just going to wait to see who joins. Again, just hanging out. There's no specific topics. Well, it'd be hard to survive a drought, in fairness. So I would say it's tough to survive a drought. But they survive droughts. I'm not really sure precisely what is meant by that. The ancient Egyptians still rule today. So the Illuminati is a separate organization. Bolsack, George Washington was a Freemason. Excuse me. Forgive me for missing your question. George Washington was a Freemason. He actually won the poll we did for favorite Masonic president, but he was a Freemason. Virginia Lodge, or he was made a Mason in Virginia. I can't remember the name of the lodge now. But he was a Mason, very active within Freemasonry. Glad you're just chilling. So Illuminati was formed much later than Freemasonry, around 1776, in fact, and it was formed by an ex-Freemason. So you need to keep that in mind as well. It's a separate organization, separate group. It's not the same thing. Well, that's an interesting point. That's a political thing, I suppose. Um, I know nothing about the Talmud, Babylonian or otherwise. I mean, I guess every Mason may have his own opinion on that. I don't necessarily think I would grant human rights to animals. I do believe, though, that the extent to which we treat animals either in a positive way or negative way, absolutely, like needlessly cruel, absolutely can result in, it's a reflection of society. If we treat animals in a negative way, I think we absolutely reach a point where it reflects negatively on us as human beings. I think we have a responsibility to understand that by all appearances, animals seem very capable of suffering, seem very capable of harm, seem very capable of sadness. And we should respect that. And we should respect them, especially if you're a meat eater like I am. I should be grateful to the animal for, for sustaining me. And I should certainly try to respect it in the sense of wanting it to live a good life and be taken care of before it takes care of me. Um, well, Freemasonry is not a religion, Dinah Bolts. So whether it's the first monotheistic or polytheistic religion is irrelevant. Freemasonry is not a religion. Um, I think there's probably another way to make it work, Bama Yard Dog. I get what you're saying. Even in an industrial farm, though, I still think it's possible to try within an industrial setting to treat animals as well as possible. But I also suspect there may be other options that we haven't necessarily discovered yet. I'm kind of cheating because I say that. Meanwhile, I personally don't have any idea what those other options might be. But it just seems to me that human beings, when we want to be, can absolutely be pretty incredible when it comes to, I'm trying to think what the word is, pretty incredible when it comes to solving problems that seem unsolvable. And I think, for example, um, in my suspicion, it's probably possible to find a way to feed humanity without recourse to industrial farms. Um, Hello, CEO of my time. Thank you for being here. Um, well, I can't speak to the Talmud because I know nothing about it. I mean, again, I'm not going to be a reviler of anyone's religion. I've heard of the Talmud, but I don't know. To my understanding, the Jewish kind of volume of sacred law or holy book would be the Torah. So I'm not sure if the Talmud is another version of the Torah, which it certainly could be, or if it's something else completely. Hello, Silence. It's been a while since I've seen you. I mean, I don't think it's needlessly killing animals because I think even though you can live on an exclusively vegetarian diet, I think it's been demonstrated to be. I mean, I don't know. I think the fact that human beings are capable of consuming meat and are capable of gaining nutrients from it, it tells me that, at least for me, it gives me comfort in eating meat, and I think it's a rational, ethical thing to do. Having said that, I've known many vegetarian Freemasons. I've known many Freemasons who are not vegetarians, but for example, don't eat pork or don't eat certain types of meat. I've always said that if you're the junior warden, one of your responsibilities as a junior warden of a Masonic lodge is to make sure, and I still believe this, that you are, that you are providing vegetarian options or halal options or vegan options, even to make sure you're taking care of your brethren who have dietary restrictions. Now, also, part of that's on you, right? In that the brother who is a vegan, a vegetarian, should also make sure that they are letting, that they are letting the junior warden and the worshipful master know, hey, I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, I'm a Muslim, I have these dietary restrictions, and to consider them. So yeah, of course, I've heard of Kitchener-Waterloo. Well, I mean, again, I can't speak to it because I'm not aware of the Talmudic Jew and how it is the same versus different than the Torah. What I can say is I've known a lot of Jewish Masons, a lot of Jewish people, seem fine to me. So, like anybody else, they're good people. They're my brothers as much as any other religion or any other faith. If some of them follow the Talmud and others follow the Torah or others follow a combination of the two, so long as they're good men and honorable and treat me well, then that's what matters. And treat me as a brother, and I will treat them as a brother. So there you go. Maybe the man known as JR knows more about it. Again, it's not something I can speak to too much. Beyond saying what I always say, because I think it's important that people remember, Freemasonry is not a religion. We are lucky enough to have many Masonic brethren who are Jewish, as well as many others who are Muslim, Christian, Hindu, Sikh. Some may follow the Talmud, some may follow the Torah. Again, some may follow a combination therein. It's not something about which I can speak. Freemasons do not have any power. That's not what Freemasonry is about. It's not about power or having power or exercising power. So whatever power you think we have, you'd be very disappointed. Okay, so the man known as JR definitely will be able to answer more of these questions than I can, but I'll be ending this stream in about 10 minutes. I'll be back on tomorrow with another, or today technically, at 10 a.m. and then again at 1 p.m. So there you go. Well, it had a Masonic gavel displayed in front of the vice president, but that gavel also belonged to George Washington. So it might have been displayed just as much for the fact he was the first president as the fact that he was a Mason. In fact, I'm sure it was displayed because of his presidential connections, a not Masonic connection. And one of the honorees, a World War II veteran, had what appeared to be a Masonic pin on his lapel. But we don't, to my understanding, those are the two Masons represented in the State of the Union. So there you go. Don't say amen. It's a holy, sacred word. I mean, I can say amen, I suppose. I'm not sure why I cannot. No worries, KY. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. All right, calm down with that nonsense, the way it's experienced. We're not going to be reviling anyone's religious beliefs. So, I mean, I just the word amen. I mean, I've said it before, so I'm not really sure what it means to not be able to say it, right? Because it's one of those words, I've said it on a few different occasions in my life. I mean, in Masonic terms, very often what we say is, so mote it be, um, which is kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, our way of saying amen. Because Freemasonry is not a religion, so obviously religious terminology is something that perhaps we will try our best to avoid somewhat. That's not to say there aren't religious terms that make their way into Freemasonry. Freemasonry borrowed from a lot of different things, including Christianity, Judaism, the Muslim faith, but it also borrowed from archaeological orders, stone Masonic guilds, primarily Enlightenment era philosophy, Egyptian mysticism, etc., etc. It is my natural hair. I hope it looks good. I hope I never lose it. My dad's bald, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I don't end up bald like him. So far, I seem to be doing well. Please take a moment once again to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I hope everybody's doing well. We got over 3,600 subs, so thank you for that. Well, there was one Mason who made a cameo, maybe. He had a pin. We don't know for sure if he's a Mason. I don't think he's implying that Masons support Trump. I think he's implying that one particular Mason may support Trump. And honestly, there are many more who do, and there are many more who don't. I'm a Mason. I would not consider myself a Trump supporter by any means. However, that's my personal opinion. Freemasons are welcome to have political opinions. They're just not allowed to discuss them in a lodge during work. Well, I mean, Zionism, so there are some Masons who are Zionists, some Masons who are not. Again, Zionism is a political opinion, right? More so than anything else. So you need to keep that in mind as well. It is not a Masonic position. There are some Freemasons who may be Zionist, and there are others who may not be Zionist. It does not, Mario Heat. It does not. There are no connections between 9/11 and the Masons. That's just some conspiracy baloney. I mean, Dylan or Dinah, if you believe that, then so be it. I personally am not a big fan of Donald Trump, but that's my opinion. That does not reflect upon, Freemasonry. Some Freemasons may support Donald Trump. Some may not like Donald Trump. You'd have to ask each kind of individual Freemason what their thoughts are. I mean, maybe this is the first time Caesar and I actually agree on something. I wouldn't use the term demonic because I'm not one who believes in demons, but I personally am not a fan of Trump. But again, that's me speaking for myself. That's not me speaking for Freemasons. No, we do not have Grand Wizards. That's not a Masonic term. George Bush Jr. and Sr. were not Freemasons. They were not. They may have been members of Skull and Bones, which is a separate organization and not the same as Freemasonry. So you need to keep that in mind as well. Well, I'm not sure what that means, Mary Heat, but if anybody is abusing anybody, especially a child, but even an adult, obviously, or an elderly person, the authorities should be informed. 911 should be called immediately, and, or the police, and appropriate charges should be brought, and there should be a court case. The United States was not founded by Luciferians. The United States was not even founded by Freemasons, which is not the same thing as Luciferians. Some Freemasons were involved in it, but a lot of different groups were involved in it. I don't know of any Freemasons who are in the Epstein files. The closest you get is Bill Clinton, who was a member of DeMolay, which is a Masonic youth group. No, Caesar, that's a stupid thing to say. I think I'm just going to have to block you. You're being dumb and stupid. And honestly, Caesar, it gets very annoying very quickly. So Nilburn, not in New York. Um, I mean, unless it's a new thing in New York, it is happening in the Metropolitan Police Force in London, United Kingdom. Now, New York may be next in line, or New York may have implemented a similar policy of which I was not aware. But the Metropolitan Police Force in United Kingdom has implemented that policy. And I have no issue with that. I have no issue. I'm a Freemason. I have no issue at all with um, having to disclose membership because you have to try to deal with and manage conflicts of interest. No, Caesar, Freemasons did not do 9/11. Yeah, Caesar's just an idiot. I think I'm gonna have to just get rid of him. He's just a dumbass. Um, so Trump is not a Freemason, Mario Heat. Trump is not a Freemason. There's no evidence Trump is a Freemason. There's no evidence Epstein is a Freemason. Um, nah, you're an idiot, Caesar. You're an idiot. So Masons are not Talmudic worshipers. Freemason is not a religion. So we don't worship in that sense or in any sense. Worship is a religious idea, right? Freemasons are a civic institution or a community group, not a religious group, right? So you need to keep in mind the difference between the two. Illuminati, I mean, if founded in 1776, again, to my knowledge, it was more spiritual or esoteric than Freemasonry ever was, but I don't think they were Talmudic worshipers. Adam Weishaupt was a former Freemason who started a separate group. Um, well, I mean, why not have a Mason there? He didn't come because he's a Mason. He went to the State of the Union because he was a World War II veteran that Donald Trump was honoring, who just happened to be a Mason. There was what, 500 people in the room, and one of whom happened to be a Mason. Um, well, then you're free to leave the community, Caesar. But if you're going to ask me a stupid question like, did the Freemasons do 9/11, then I'm going to call you an idiot because that type of question implies that you're stupid. Um, right? So, Mario Heat, I feel like you're not understanding what I'm saying, and I feel like you're not understanding what I'm saying on purpose. There was a gentleman that Donald Trump honored. He was a World War II veteran, and it appears that he was wearing a Masonic pin. Um, there was, however many other people in the audience, no other Masonic pins were mentioned or seen. So it's one guy wearing it. He happened to be both a World War II veteran and a World War II hero, and he was apparently a Mason, at least what looked like a pin. Now, we don't know for sure if it was a Masonic pin. I need to get a closer and better look at it, but it did look to me like a Masonic pin. That's not presenting a Mason to Trump, right? He just wore it probably because he's proud to be a Freemason. Um, um, I mean, I will take free coffee once a day, let alone once a month. Once a month, but there were 500 people in the audience. There weren't 500 Masons within the audience, right? It's just one individual who was wearing apparently a Mason pin. He wasn't shown or anything like that. Um, Talmud are discussions between sages. Does Freemasons offer life insurance policies? As a general rule, no. I mean, I have heard of some Masonic lodges trying to start like insurance for members, especially or like offering discounts on insurance. I've heard stories of it. I've never actually seen it. In my experience, no. At least not I've ever seen firsthand. I know that, for example, like Prince Hall, for example, back when, I mean, there's still discrimination, but back when discrimination against black men in America was such that they were very often not allowed to get insurance, life insurance or property insurance, black fraternities, and I think Prince Hall as well, offered insurance to members. But in my experience, that's not been the case. Well, Knights of Columbus, I think they do. I think I've heard of that, but it's not really a Masonic thing. I've heard stories of Masons trying to get like Masonic life insurance. I've never seen it firsthand. I'm not sure if it ever really happens. I did hear about Knights of Columbus working on it. So, Kenta, you cannot take out a life insurance policy on somebody else without their permission unless it's a younger person. So, I'm sure they do not. No, Masons are not vengeful in that way. I mean, if somebody were to hurt one of my Masonic brethren, I would, well, if the hurt was happening like in that moment, like if I were to be rolling down the street and I were to see one of my Masonic brothers being messed with, I would try my best to deal with it and protect him. But I would like to think I'd do that for anybody, Masonic or otherwise. But I would try to go to my brother's aid. If it was something that happened in the past, I would encourage the brother to go to the police or do whatever they need to do to keep themselves safe. But I'd like to think, whether it's a Mason or not, if I see someone who is innocent being hurt, I would, deal with it. Because I have no legs. So I can't stand up. I mean, I think in some ways it wouldn't hurt to try to make Freemasonry more youthful in appearance. I think they're trying that, like trying to show more younger people like I'm trying to think what the word is, trying to appeal to more youthful people by showing more younger Masons in advertisings. No, Caesar, we do not. Freemasonry has no knowledge or theology regarding the end of the world. If it happens, it happens. Hopefully Freemasons will be trying their best to stop it from happening or helping those survive the quote-unquote end of the world. Well, they will not retaliate or disappear you. There are a lot of old guys within Knights of Columbus. I think they're trying to get younger members as well. I wish them well. I wish them the best of luck. I think as Knights of Columbus grows, so will Freemasonry, so will everything else, right? It's about creating and developing a stronger civic society and stronger civic institutions. Which is why we need to make them appear open. Which is why we need to make them appear more open. All right, guys, thank you all so much. It's been a blast, but I'm going to be ending this stream. Well, Mary Heat, it's movies, it's hoaxes like Leo Taxil, even the Nazis with their baloney. It's also people believing dumb stuff because, honestly, it can be more comforting to believe in a all-knowing, all-powerful conspiracy, which you can fight against, than having to actually deal with the small, mundane, but real things that actually make a difference in your day-to-day life. You are welcome, the man known as JR. I love the Da Vinci Code. I thought that was great. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Again, don't ask dumb questions, and I won't call you dumb. But if you ask dumb questions, going to get called dumb, and eyes wide shut is not true. I've been to many Masonic meetings, over 1,000, never seen anything approaching eyes wide shut. If I did, believe me when I say I wouldn't be sticking around, that's for sure. Well, Caesar, you had it coming for saying something dumb. In what world does the question, did Freemasons do 9/11, in what world is that a legitimate question? right? How does that possibly make sense? How is that anything other than a dumb thing to ask? Um, right? So you don't have to stick around, Caesar, by the way, right? If you ask a good question, I'll answer the good question. If you ask a dumb question, I'll say it's a dumb question. Well, Illuminati I can't speak to because Freemasonry is not the Illuminati. But I can say Freemasonry is not bloodline exclusive. Oh, there are, Caesar. There are. And that's one of them. Um, right? In the same way, asking, like, are Freemasons involved in human sacrifice? That's a dumb question. Um, right? Especially because there's no legitimate way to answer that question, right? So, for example, if I say no, the natural answer you can give me is, well, of course you're going to deny it, right? You can't tell the truth. So you basically leave it where the denial just proves the conspiracy, right? Um, well, Freemasons do not sacrifice anyone, human or otherwise. What we sacrifice, I suppose, is our time. Um, um, Bolsack, would it make a difference if I was or wasn't Jewish? Freemasonry does not discriminate. Uh, well, those concerns, people who have those concerns are not looking for those concerns to be addressed, right? Because again, it's just a conspiracy. So by the nature of the conspiracy, whatever I say will be used to further cement the conspiracy. So if I say, well, so to say the truth, no, Freemasons had nothing to do with 9/11, the response you're going to get is, well, of course you would deny it, right? There's no way to answer that question in a legitimate way. We also sacrifice gas money or bus fare as well. We sacrifice our time and our gas money. So, Caesar, I always appreciate, well, let me rephrase that. I appreciate the fact that you join my streams, that you've hit the like button and the subscribe button, I believe. But I'm going to call you out if you're being dumb. So, um, well, that's not a tough question. That's a ridiculous question, right? That's the point. A tough question would be, if Freemasonry is so valuable, why have its numbers continued to decline over the last 20 years or 30 years or 50 years? That's a tough question and hard to answer. You know, did Freemasons do 9/11? That is not a tough question. That's a dumb question. Because, again, there's no way to answer that question that doesn't just feed into conspiracy and feed into nonsense. Boltsack, I hope not. I mean, anything's possible, but I hope not. And I think if Freemasonry is going to survive, we need to grow our relevance within our communities to make sure it does make it past 10 years. So again, Freemasonry was not in ancient Greece. Freemasonry or speculative masonry started in 1717 or at the earliest, maybe 1634. So there you go. I have used a Ouija board. One of my favorite scary movies, I don't think gets enough credit, is Ouija, by the way. Um, we don't have trillions of dollars, so I guess we'll be okay. I mean, if a Masonic Lodge does end up, let's say, going dark is the term, any money it has in its accounts are usually returned to the Grand Lodge. And if it sells its building, the proceeds from the building sale, if it goes dark, will go to the Grand Lodge as well. No, the whole stock exchange is not owned by Freemasonry. Um, no, nothing happened. I don't believe in the supernatural. I played around with it for fun because I love scary movies, but I don't believe in the supernatural. Um, well, Caesar, go ahead, but keep in mind there's a difference between asking hard-hitting questions that are intelligent and asking questions that are dumb and based on conspiracy and nonsense, right? A good way to judge if the question is legitimate or dumb or stupid is ask yourself if the denial, um, if the denial just reinforces the initial question. So if I ask you, Caesar, when did you stop beating your wife? Right? There is no legitimate way to answer that question because it's a stupid question. Because no matter what you say, the implication is at some point you beat your wife. So it's just a dumb question, right? To ask, or forcing someone to deny criminal activity. Of course, they're going to deny it. Instead, what you need to ask is there any evidence at all that the Freemasons were involved in 9/11? And the answer is no. There's zero evidence that Freemasons had anything to do with 9/11, with the one exception that after 9/11, they actually raised funds and money to help first responders. So they were involved in the recovery efforts and support for first responders. That's the legitimate question and legitimate way to ask it, as opposed to the way you did, which, sorry, was stupid. I could be, but I'm not. I'm not a 33rd degree. You can believe or disbelieve. That's up to you. But I'm not a 33rd degree Mason. I'm 18th degree Scottish Rite or Rose Croix. By the way, I just got back from a Rose Croix meeting tonight. It was great. Very good food. Well, I'm going to go with Al Qaeda was behind 9/11 because that's who was behind 9/11. See, this is why I hate these discussions because now we got a bunch of baloney conspiracy theories in the stream that help nobody. I had pulled pork tacos with pickled onions, refried beans, and some really great cookies. Rose Croix, it's spelled Croix. It's a branch or a degree or set of degrees within the Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Rosicrucianisms are not Masons. Caesar is correct about that. But Rose Croix is within the Scottish Rite appendant body. Because there is a lot of connection between Rose Croix and Freemasonry. Pulled pork sandwiches are peak. I'm going to watch Scream 7, Bullsack. You must know I love scary movies. I am going to watch Scream 7. Things are good. No, Harry Hawk, you're also being stupid. 9/11 was not an inside job. 9/11 was Al Qaeda. Again, I don't know for sure. No one knows for sure. But I don't like conspiracy theories. I think they are brain poison. So there you go. My mind. Well, Scottish Rite is not from Scotland. It actually started in France from a Scottish dude living in France. But Canada has the Supreme Council, which is responsible for Scottish Rite within Canada. Um, I mean, some Masons may get involved in the occult. I've never been a fan of the occult myself. Again, it depends how you define occult. Freemasonry you could define as occult, in that occult just means hidden or private information. I mean, the recipe for how to make Coca-Cola would be occult knowledge because it's kept private for business interests, right? No, they were not. And Freemasonry is not occult. Yes, I am Canadian, born and raised in Winnipeg, currently live in Windsor, Ontario. All right, well, I'm going to be ending this stream. I will see you guys all hopefully at 10 a.m. and then again at 1 p.m. They could potentially become a 33rd degree Mason in a year, but it's very unlikely. It usually takes longer than that. It had to be really quick. It depends on what jurisdiction you're into. In Canada, I don't think it'd be possible to become a 33rd within a year. From like your first degree to 33rd. In some parts of the States, though, it is. So, Dina, it's possible, but unlikely. Not if you demand it. Well, Spartacus, I make Canada more handsome. I did get the COVID jabs, and I got all the other vaccinated, the jabs that are required, not just required, but are beneficial. And I just got my tetanus vaccine a couple weeks ago. Well, 2884, there you go. Yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of the conspiracies, though. Oh my gosh, the French Revolution and Freemasonry, that's the whole thing. I definitely have time to go into that today, Caesar. Some of the people involved in the French Revolution were Freemasons, a lot of them weren't. You need to keep that in mind as well. Maybe your mind controlled Spartacus, but in the other direction, right? A knee-jerk disbelief in whatever the government says, I would argue, represents as much mind control and as much lack of thought as choosing to accept government kind of information. I don't really watch CBC, but I have no issue with it. It's just not something I watch. Normally, I get my news more so through CTV, if anything. Um, it's okay to say mean things to people. I mean, 2884 can call me a liar and call me dumb. Doesn't matter to me. It's the internet, right? So 2884 can say whatever they want. Doesn't mean they're right. Because I don't think I'm dumb. Having said that, uh, so be it. It's YouTube, right? I would suggest they probably don't have a very good reason for their claims, but that's a whole other can of tuna. Sure, we have gay Freemasons and straight Freemasons. It doesn't really make, I mean, Freemasonry does not discriminate based on one's sexual orientation, nor should it, because it's a civic institution. It should be welcoming to people of all different faiths and beliefs. So it was a installation. So it was a new set of officers being installed into the chairs. Officers are responsible for the administration of the lodge. Everything from the treasurer who pays the bills to the secretary who writes the minutes to the, in this case, the most wise sovereign who runs the meeting, to the generals who prepare the food, and everything in between. Well, Caesar, I appreciate that kind of. Having said that, you know, you don't have to pray for me to come to Christ. I'm happy where I'm at. I suppose if I ever do get to a point where I decide I want to join a particular religious affiliation, then maybe I will come to Christ. I mean, I'm not precluding the possibility. I'm just saying I'm happy where I'm at the moment. Well, I appreciate, okay, I'm sorry they removed your Dream Seeker account. That sucks. But I mean, you'll still be on this one, so that's good. Um, there is no secret society of the Middle East. I mean, I don't know what that means. There's probably many secret societies of the Middle East, actually, but none I can think of. There is Freemasonry in the Middle East. Bolsack, it does not make a difference because Freemasonry does not discriminate. There is no enemy of Freemasonry. We have no beef with, well, Freemasons have no enemies. We have no beef with others. I suppose the enemy of Freemasonry is how comfortable is the couch? How, much good stuff is there on television? How busy are people with their family lives and personal lives? In some ways, you could say it's the enemy of Freemasonry in that it may keep people from attending a lodge meeting. Not everywhere in the Middle East, Dina. Somewhere, but not everywhere. Yes, my name is Cameron. I did vote for the Liberals. Um, I don't believe that there is such a thing as the right religion. There are just different religions. Everybody needs to find the religion that works for themselves. Freemasonry does not believe in a right religion or a wrong religion. That's not how Freemasonry operates. That's why, for example, we have Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, indigenous, all different religious faiths and traditions represented in lodges. No one faith considers itself to be more of the right religion than any other. Yes, so women can join Freemasons. Not every Islamic country, Dina. Jordan doesn't, and Morocco doesn't. Yes, Jeremy, Freemasonry accepts all religions. An Eastern Star is not for witches. Because I'm not interested in being Catholic. I found, in terms of my religious beliefs, I have my beliefs on that, which I'm comfortable with and doesn't require Catholicism. And then for my civic engagements, community engagements, I have Freemasonry. Um, I do not do adrenochrome. I don't know what that is, except a bunch of conspiracy-addled brain nonsense. Um, I have no plans of becoming Catholic. Again, I am a Freemason. I'm happy with that. And my spiritual beliefs, I'm happy and comfortable with what they are. So I don't need to become anything else. Now, if you are yourself Catholic and you find that brings you peace and happiness, then more power to you. Caesar, that's not how it works. Anor, you are right. I've met many Catholics and none of them are bad people. Um, Muslims, excuse me. I know many Muslims who are good people. I've known good Catholics, good Jews, good Christians, good indigenous people, good Hindus, good Sikhs. Whether you are good or bad is separate from the religion which you practice. Um, all right, well, Spartacus, I'm the enemy, but you're still here. Maybe start your own channel. Um, Well, I mean, Freemasonry tends to, parallel whatever exists within the community. So if you live in a community which has a significant, let's say, Muslim population, the majority of religious affiliations within your Masonic lodge will be Muslim. Or, if you live in a community that's significantly Jewish, then it'll be Jewish, et cetera, et cetera. Right? It tends to reflect whatever the lodge, whatever the community is. All right, guys, I'm going to be ending this stream. Freemasonry, I mean, I'm sure there were Masons involved in the Salem witch trials, maybe, but Freemasonry as an organization, oh, we got sirens, had nothing to do with the Salem witch trials. Well, I hope not, Spartacus. You are a very foolish, dumb person, Spartacus, Freedomist. My suspicion, honestly, is you're just leading a not good life. And as a consequence of that, instead of focusing on how you can make your life better, you're focusing on attacking Freemasonry and political views of others and the liberals and all the rest of it. So Islam does not ban Freemasonry everywhere, right? So I'd say in the meeting I read earlier, it would probably be people who would define themselves as traditionally Christian, meaning I don't think they're particularly active. I know a lot of them don't go to church, but if you had to, ask them for religious affiliation, they'd probably pick Christian by default. But there was also others in the group. Again, there was some um, within it, there were people like me who are not Christian. Um, we have Jewish members. There were Sikh or Hindu members as well. So there was all different sorts. So the Catholic Church bans Freemasons from taking communion, if I recall correctly, but I know many Catholic Freemasons. Um, I got the flu jabs. I ain't glowing green yet, Spartacus. Um, well, again, Harry Hawk, no. See, this is why I'm trying to be careful. It's not because, again, if I had attended a Masonic Lodge meeting in, let's say, Dearborn, the majority membership would probably have been Muslim with Christians and everything else. It's not any dominant group, right? I think you're hearing what you want to hear from me, Harry Hawk. Again, it reflects the makeup of the community in which you're located. If I attend a Masonic Lodge in Israel, it's probably going to be, mostly Jewish members. If I attend a meeting in Morocco, mostly Muslim members. If I attend a meeting in India, maybe it might be mostly Sikh or Hindu, which I believe is the traditional faith in India, right? It's not a majority, or it's not any particular religious dominant group. It more depends where you're at. Again, in Canada, I would suggest that probably the majority religious affiliation is Christian. So, um, okay, there is Moroccan Freemasonry. There is Freemasonry in Morocco. Um, right? It's allowed there. There's also Freemasonry in Jordan. In other Middle Eastern countries, there's no Freemasonry except on military bases. I can go to any lodge that's recognized, Jeremy, and there are many lodges that are recognized around the world. It's one of the greatest things about Freemasonry is I can travel around the world and visit lodges in Colombia, Rio de Janeiro, Canada, United States, the Philippines, and everywhere in between. Yeah, so that's a good way to look at it. And I would say culturally Christian as opposed to practicing Christian, right? In the same way, if you told me I had to pick a religious faith that reflects me, I would say Christianity. I don't practice Christianity, I never go to church, but it's the religion I'm most familiar with. And when I think of religion or God and try to anthropomorphize him or put him in terms I can express, it usually sounds Christian because that's the faith I'm most familiar with. Whenever I have attended church, it's almost always been Christian. Although I did attend a couple of mosques, and that was very much a pleasure as well. Oh my gosh, Jeremy! I mean, hundreds, literally. I've been very lucky. I've been to over 1,000 Masonic meetings in 6, 7 countries. So I've been incredibly lucky and incredibly blessed to visit so many Masonic lodges all around the world. All right, guys, we're going to be ending this stream. I hope you guys are having, because I keep meaning to go to sleep because it's 2:30 in the morning. I will be back on at 10 a.m. I look forward to seeing you all then. I read the whole Bible ages ago, Rando. I want to read it again. I want to also read the Quran. I want to become more familiar with my brother's faith. All right, guys, I'll see y'all soon. Spartacus, you are a foolish, foolish person. But hey, I guess you have the right to be foolish.